oi to oi, welcome back to PickItUpGaming, you beautiful cadets and your amazing space marines. In this week's video we'll be talking about the game, the Callisto Protocol. Now is it Alien 1 and 2, or is it more like Aliens 3 and Aliens vs Predator? To be fair, I didn't mind Aliens vs Predator, but the whole thing is it a good game, or is it not a good game? So let's find out together and go on this thrilling space adventure. Off to space we go! Oh dear, another year, another dorky me. Have fun! Right, so with that intro out of the way, let's start with some basic facts, shall we? So the Callisto Protocol is a 2022 survival horror action game, developed by Striking Distance Studios and published by Crafton. It was also directed by Glenn Schofield. Now if you guys and girls don't know who that is, he had previously worked and co-created the Dead Space series. The first two Dead Space games being absolutely amazing, the third one, once the companies got involved, being a bit below average. Now, it remains coming out Dead Space this year, but we're here to talk about this game. But as we go through this review, you notice quite a lot of similarities between the two games, this being Callisto Protocol, it's a hard one to say for me, and Dead Space. But, is it just as good, or is it another clone copy? Well, that being said, that's some basic facts for you. Now on to the story. So you can take control of the main protagonist, Jacob Lee, who was portrayed by Josh Dunham, sorry if I pronounced that wrong, and basically gets sent to this prison facility set on the Jovinian moon. There's a lot of words that I do not know, which is called Callisto, hence the name of the title. Now, as usual, on this space moon, something happens, something breaks out, a virus breaks out with loads of creepy crawling bugs. It affects all people around it and makes it go crazy. Now, as you're playing this character, you try to escape this moon prison, all while finding out some dark secrets about the place, some interesting facts, and meeting some characters along the way, hoping to survive this horrible space nightmare. So although the story is fairly interesting and it does keep you engaged for the most part of the game from start to finish, which will take you about 10 to 14 hours, maybe a bit longer if you try and do it every single bits and bobs and trying to get the platinum, which I'll be doing after this video. The only issue is, I think, because it being so similar to Dead Space from obviously the creator of Dead Space, or co-creator, sorry, it's sometimes hard to separate it to two games. Not to separate, but you can tell if you played Dead Space, you can compare it very easily between the two. If you haven't played Dead Space, however, you might find this game really interesting. It'd be quite unique to you, quite a fresh experience. But with the new remake of the Dead Space 1 coming out this year, it might have some tough competition. But other than that, story-wise, it's pretty fun, it's pretty enjoyable. Acting is pretty good, motion capture is pretty good, and it'll keep you engaged for the large parts of the game. However, the comparison to Dead Space is going to be there throughout the game. But that being said, we move on to the next part of the review. So controls, visuals and sounds. I'd say where this game kind of does shine the most is in the sounds and the visuals. I mean, in terms of the motion capture of the actors playing these roles, really bring them to life. I can tell they put a lot of the heart in the screen, and then you can tell when someone's really care about the role, they bring the characters, make them their own, and it makes it really engaging to play through. Sound wise, it's very creepy, quite scary, and that part's quite enjoyable. Sometimes the visuals, some of the pressure to fire looks a bit kind of iffy, but other than that, it looks fantastic, it looks amazing. It's really dark and gritty, and very tense and filled with anxiety and nerves, so that's quite a good part of the game. Controls can be a bit clunky, a bit tanky at times, which might add to the overall horror experience if that's what you're into, but for me sometimes it's very frustrating trying to turn and manoeuvre and get away from certain bosses that can kill you in one hit, when it's a bit clanky and it's a bit not responsive, but it feels a bit it's a bit slow at times as well, especially when you are running. It really feels like you are being dragged back by something, so that can be a bit of a downer. But other than that, it's still very enjoyable, easy to handle, sounds great, visually it's quite scary if someone jump scares a bit, but which moves on to the last bit, my final thoughts. So with the story being quite interesting for the most part, acting has been fine, voices being fine, some of the horror aspects can be a bit repetitive and a bit predictable if you are into that kind of stuff. However, if you're new to the horror series or just diving into a horror game that's not overly scary, this is probably one for you. For the most part, it is really enjoyable. However, it does feel like a B version of Dead Space, which is not but it's not seem unfair, and it's not saying a bad thing, but I do think when Dead Space the remake comes out, if it's done well, this is how it's going to be compared to. It's going to be a very average 6-7 out of 10 game. So with that being said, my final score for the game is going to be a 6 out of 10. There's a lot of potential there to be a more fun, enjoyable game, to improve when it comes around. Apart from a few glitches and some scares being a bit repetitive, a bit over the top, a bit kind of samey, it's a fun game that I'll wait for the sale to pick it up. Anyway, guys and girls, keep safe, keep strong. Don't forget to close all the air vents and don't get scared of space. And I'll see you soon. Now this glitch made me laugh, and I hope you enjoy it too. Right, bye!